track reviews.
Hi, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you are doing well, and it's time for a track review. My thoughts on a brand new song and single. This one, a new track from Miss Rebecca Black, someone who historically has been one of the more polarizing figures in the pop field. I'm sure many of you remember the past, the controversies, the jokes, and so on and so forth revolving around that big debut viral single Friday, but she's been plugging away at her career nonstop since then, trying to get people to realize that there's more to her, there's more artistic potential in her than that. We had an interview, a conversation with her a little while back last year, which we will link you to at the end of this video down below as well, where she talked about, the process of kind of arriving to new sounds, doing new things. She's been doing some cool collaborations and crossovers with the likes of Dorian Electra, who we love over here on this channel. Shout out to Dorian Electra. So again, new single, new music video as well if you want to check it out on YouTube, but we're just going to check out the jam over here and see if it's actually a banger. It's titled Girlfriend. Seems to, from what I see from the music video, be a bit of a same-sex love narrative, which is something new as far as narrative direction for Rebecca over here, and not something that I think plays out in a lot of mainstream pop music, maybe as often as it should anyway. Yeah, with all of that being noted and spoken about, I want to listen to this track. First, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor in this video, the good people over at The Ridge. They make these awesome, nifty, minimalist, metal-plated wallets with over 40,000 bangin' 5-star reviews. I've been loving mine as well for quite a while. Check out the link down below to get one for yourself. They come in a wide range of colors too. And make sure to use the promo code MELON to get 10% off, and keep me in the Ridge family, because I am the #1 minimalist wallet salesman in the world. So having said that, Rebecca Black, Girlfriend, ba-bam. Okay, there's a lot to make note of. A lot occurred over the course of that track. Some of it good, some of it not as good, but it feels like Rebecca is taking some risks here and trying some different stuff. For starters, the intro. I was a little scared on the intro because the revving synthesizers and just kind of the glitziness of it, it almost felt like I was in for another Patrice production, honestly. Like it did give me old school Friday Nightmares a little bit. I hate to off the bat sort of make that comparison, but it did feel like a very cheap way of kicking the track off. But once the beat popped in and the bass synths came into play, which had a very 80s vibe, and there was certainly a vintage sheen on the entire production as well, almost like a la a Carly Rae Jepsen, then the track really began to smooth out, and it really felt like there's a budget here, there's some attention to detail, it's pretty tasteful. The one thing about the production, though, consistently I wasn't too crazy about was that rhythm guitar. Not that I'm against some rhythm guitar being in on this song, but the very sour, watery tone that it had going on, I don't really think played too well into the track overall, honestly. Maybe something more dry and plucky, sharp to really add, I guess, a bit more texture to the instrumental, as opposed to something that is a bit more wavy, I think might have been better. So, like I said, once the groove, the bass, and the vocals establish themselves on the opening verse, and Rebecca starts painting the overall narrative of the song in her lyrics, it sounds pretty decent. And then the song transitions into what I think is the best thing it has going for it, and that's the hook. I'm getting back with my girlfriend. Rebecca and her producer here on this track really do a good job of extending the blissful vibe of this hook out quite a ways. It's a long chorus, but then after this point, I think the song loses a bit of momentum in a pretty unorthodox structure change, where instead of going directly back into the verse and the established groove and instrumentation, there's a bit of a rhythmic drop out with these swirling arpeggios hanging in the background, almost as if we're just suddenly transitioning into a bridge, which doesn't totally make sense because why would the bridge come this early? After that, the instrumentation begins to build up a little bit, and it's pretty clear, okay, this isn't a bridge, this is just the second verse, but the verse never really regains its footing, honestly, and the track, I don't think, really falls back into place until the next chorus comes in, which sounds just as decent as the first. And then following that, we have an actual bridge, which features a synth solo, which it's rare in many pop songs these days. You're getting any kind of solo, and Rebecca's, throwing in some vocal embellishments there. Certainly, in my opinion, that's a bit of a peak. And then from there, it closes up pretty nicely. It doesn't end too abruptly or anything like that. I really think there could have been some elements on the vocal and production side that could have been a little bolder, a little bit more stand out. The song itself, I think, is pretty solid, even if the overall structuring of this track could have used some work. Hook is nice. Lyrically, I like that there's a focus and there's a theme, but I wouldn't necessarily say that Rebecca had done anything as far as like wordplay or a turn of phrase that really stood out to me. She certainly rounded the bases as far as what you would need or what you would want from a song that is about this sort of thing, just wanting to get back together with a lover, be with a significant other. So overall assessment on this one, I'd say pretty decent. It's decent. And I think, look, if you've been counting Rebecca Black out because of the past and because of, everything that's happened up until this point, just take a second and pay attention because she's making some solid pop music here. Considering all the doubters that are out there, I would say with this track, Rebecca is punching above her weight a little bit. For sure, there is room for improvement, and I think room to forge a sound that is maybe a bit more distinct. And considering all of the alternative and left field pop artists that she is very much obviously aware of, there's clearly a lot of space to take some risks, try out some different stuff. But even if ultimately her hopes were to compete in a more general pop field, I still would say that we need to get a little bit more ambitious than what we're doing here vocally and instrumentally. If you guys gave this track a listen, did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? Make sure to leave your thoughts down below. You can check out the video that I talked about earlier, the interview over here next to my head, as well as a link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Rebecca Black, forever.